Tonight, the very public-private meeting. Donald Trump and Keir Starmer meet at Turnberry. Everything from humanitarian aid in Gaza to his love for Scotland up for discussion.
You know, it's different. You go to another country, you have no relationship to it. You get to like maybe the head of the country or something. But it's different when your mother was born here, stored away.
The President has now left Turnberry and he's travelling here to Aberdeenshire. He's due to land at the Many Estate in the next hour.
The next meeting is with the First Minister. Earlier, he said the only way to move Scottish independence forward was with a majority vote for the SNP at next year's election. And in sport, transfer news at Rangers. They're in talks to sign Tottenham Hotspur starlet Mikey Moore.
I'm Andrea Breimer, live from Trump International on the Many Estate in Aberdeenshire.
And I'm Kellyanne Woodland in the studio. This is the STV News at 6.
Good evening from the Many Estate in Aberdeenshire. We're live on the 18th hole at Trump International, where President Donald Trump is due to arrive shortly aboard Marine One. Earlier today, the President spent time at his Turnberry golf resort, where he held private talks with the Prime Minister. At a press conference afterwards, Mr Trump spoke warmly of his affection for Scotland, but steered clear of commenting on a potential second independence referendum. International issues also feature prominently at the briefing that lasted well over an hour. Our political editor Colin was there and reports now on the meeting between the two leaders.
We all know President Trump's links to Scotland. He never tires of telling us about his mother from the Western Isles and about the golf courses he's visiting today.
I love this country. My mother was born in, as you know, my mother was born in Scotland.
This is supposed to be a private visit, but it's probably the most public private visit ever, with the world's press gathered for the Prime Minister's meeting at Turnberry, where the two were discussing the US-UK trade deal.
We got a deal done that has not been able to be done.
Really good deal for both of our countries, and very, very well received here in the United Kingdom.
So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr President, you say you love Scotland. You're the most Scottish president ever in the White House. Because of your love of Scotland, is there a better trade deal to be done for Scottish businesses like whisky?
Well, I assume when we do our trade deal overall, a lot of it comes to Scotland, I hope. Maybe all of it should go to
It's
Scotland.
a very good deal for the whole United Kingdom, and we've already achieved great things under the deal, and we'll achieve even more as we work together.
Mr. President, can you tell us?
A lot of it is going to Scotland. I mean, I do know that, but I mean, we're dealing with the UK. But a lot of it comes to Scotland. And, you know, I was very particular. This is a part of the world I want to see thrive.
On international events, President Trump threatened Russia with sanctions in 10 or 12 days unless they agree a ceasefire in Ukraine. But the main focus on foreign policy right now is getting humanitarian aid to Gaza.
We want to get the children fed. We made a contribution a week ago of $60 million, all going into food. We only hope the food goes to the people that need it.
Humanitarian aid needs to get in at speed, at volume. Yes, some could be airdropped, and we're working with others, with the US, with Jordan on that, but the trucks need to get in because that's the only way you can get the volume in. And we do thank the President for the work he's done to try to get to a ceasefire, which we desperately need.
Inevitably, because they were meeting in Scotland, there was a question about independence.
Well, I don't want to get involved in your politics. We got enough politics of our own. I don't know the First Minister, but I've heard great things about him. I've spoken to him. I hear very good things about him, and I'm meeting him today. So maybe I'll have a better opinion then.
And let me answer that straightforwardly, because I believe in a stronger Scotland, in a better United Kingdom. And I think that at a time like this, when it's quite clear that there's uncertainty and volatility around the world, the strength of the United Kingdom together is very important for all four nations.
The two leaders clearly get on well enough to work around differing views on issues like wind power.
When we go to Aberdeen, You'll see some of the ugliest windmills you've ever seen. They're the height of a 50-story building. So it's a very expensive energy, it's a very ugly energy, and we won't allow it in the United States.
So we believe in a mix, and obviously oil and gas is going to be with us for a very long time.
All of this was before the two had even had their official meeting today, and before heading to Aberdeenshire together on Air Force One, where they'll be able to see those windmills from President Trump's new golf course.
Well, Colin joins us now live. So what was it like today then, Colin, with the President and the Prime Minister?
Andrea, what we've seen over the last few days here at Turnberry is the travelling court of Trump, where political leaders have turned up here. Prime Minister today, the European Commission President yesterday, to pay tribute to the President. Now, what I was at today was a bit like one of those Oval Office press conferences, but it was in the ballroom here at Turnberry. Now, to be honest, most of today for me was about hanging about, because none of these things ever run to time. There was about 12 US media travelling in Air Force One with the President. They were paying $20,000 for the privilege. Now, alongside them, there was a few Westminster journalists, a few Scottish ones, including myself there. I must add, we didn't pay a thing for that. But the press conference was mostly Donald Trump telling us all he knew about everything we asked, pretty much. The Prime Minister got a few words in edgeways, but not that many. They took an hour of questioning, and at times, to be honest, the President came across as a bit of a bore. Until we got till the end as well, where it ended with a few questions about the Jeffrey Epstein row, which is a big issue in the States at the moment, which the President himself declared to be a hoax.
And Colin, there was a lot of politics in there too, wasn't there?
Absolutely. As you heard in my report there was the stuff about the Russian president, the warnings to Russian President Putin that he's got 10 to 12 days to come up with a ceasefire in Ukraine. On Gaza, strong words from both the President and the Prime Minister, but that won't feed the starving children. The President is still a big backer of Israel. Tonight the President will host a dinner at Many, where you are, for the Prime Minister and the First Minister. The First Minister's hoping for a one-to-one meeting with the President tomorrow. He'll bring up the whisky tariffs. He's a bit surprised that when I asked the President today, he suggested that he wasn't particularly aware of that as an issue. Well, he is now. And then the First Minister and Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar will be at the official opening of President Trump's new golf course tomorrow. But Andrea, you're there ahead of them.
Yeah, indeed I am. I'll see you here tomorrow, Colin. Thanks very much for that. Well, as Colin did say, the focus of the President's trip and the massive security operation that comes with it has now moved north here to Aberdeenshire, where he is set to officially open his second golf course here at the Many Estate in honour of his Scottish mother, Mary Ann MacLeod. Well, Stephen Brown is here with me now. Stephen, as Colin was saying, things never run to time. He was due to have arrived earlier, but we are expecting quite an arrival when he does get here.
Yeah, we know that he's arrived at Lossmouth in Air Force One. I think we'll keep looking to the skies to see when he might actually arrive, but it will be quite a sight when he does helicopter in here, and we understand he will have that dinner tonight with the Prime Minister and the First Minister. We also understand potentially the golfer Colin Montgomery and other dignitaries will be in attendance there. Now, we know that Donald Trump has his supporters around here. Some people believe that he's brought a real economic boost to the region, but we also know there have been real protests as well in the last few days in places like Aberdeen. Today again having protests just a mile or two away from here. There's a large security cordon, as you would imagine, a number of protesters gathering. They believe that we shouldn't be paying for this visit, and they don't believe that Donald Trump should be welcomed here by either the Prime Minister or the First Minister.
He should not be here. We, as the Scottish taxpayers, should not be paying for policing this event.
He's a liar, he's a narcissist, and it's about time we stop pandering to him.
I mean, I just object to all that he stands for, the erosion of people's rights within his country, coming here, spending my taxes on his security.
I think it reflects really badly on our government that we're welcoming him here.
He's slightly undesirable chap. And he basically just needs to become a bit more decent about it. There's a lot of decent people in this world looking for decent leadership. He's not providing it.
I think he should keep his nose out of world politics and go back to America.
Stephen, as we did say, the focus though turns to tomorrow, and the main reason Donald Trump has come to Scotland. Talk us through the next 24 hours or so.
Yes, because at the heart this is a private visit, so tomorrow we expect the President will tee off and he will open the new course, potentially playing that with his son Eric. We believe a number of celebrities, both in and outside of golf, will be in attendance as well to try and open that second course. Now, of course, we are expecting the President to arrive very soon, and he will have dinner tonight with the First Minister. He will meet with the First Minister tomorrow, then he will go off to Washington, back home to Washington, before, of course, he comes back to the UK in September, when there is that state visit that he'll be entertained by the King for a couple of days at Windsor in September.
OK, Stephen, thank you very much for that. Well, that's it from Trump International on the Many Estate for now. For the rest of the day's news and sport, I'll hand you back to the studio.
All right, Andrea, thank you very much indeed. Well, we've heard Donald Trump and Sir Keir Starmer talking about independence, but earlier Scotland's First Minister said an SNP majority at next year's Holyrood election is the only way to secure another referendum. John Swinney was speaking before he travelled to meet the American president. Well, our senior reporter Gordon Cree's been following this for us. And Gordon, why has he said this now?
Kellyanne's support for the SNP has been falling in recent years. The party is less popular than the level of support for independence. So the strategy could well be to reinforce the link between voting for them and the chance of another referendum, essentially urging independence supporters who might be thinking about another party to vote for the SNP. John Swinney's pitch, surely a majority can't be ignored.
That's what I'm going to say to independent supporters and to others in Scotland at the forthcoming election, that we have an opportunity to move Scotland forward, to break the logjam that we face on the independence question by electing a majority of SNP MSPs to the Scottish Parliament that worked in the past to secure a referendum and will work in the future to do likewise.
And Gordon, it's a tough target to reach.
Yes, only once in the 26 years of devolution and 6 Holyrood elections has any single party ever won an outright majority. The voting system makes it very difficult to do. That was the SNP in 2011, and of course that led to a referendum. Now, to get a majority, they would need 65 seats in Parliament. That would be a major upset against current polling, which points to them losing seats rather than gaining. And of course, any referendum would also have to be agreed by the UK government. There's no sign of that being likely. Labour and the Tories say John Swinney today is simply appeasing his own supporters. Kellyanne.
All right, Gordon, live from Edinburgh, thank you very much for talking us through that. A woman who allowed a child to drive a car has been handed a community payback order. Sophie Lee Gemmell let the child drive on a wet night in Aberdeenshire last July and shared the video online. In court, the 32-year-old's conduct was deemed reckless in the extreme. She's received a community payback order of 134 hours of unpaid work. The Scottish Government has vowed to keep working this week with troubled bus manufacturer Alexander Dennis, where up to 400 jobs are at risk. The company last month announced plans to move its operations to North Yorkshire. Deputy First Minister Kate Forbes today met with the firm and trade unions to look at ways to keep the jobs in Scotland. A tribunal has heard that the nurse at the centre of an NHS gender row allegedly made disparaging remarks about a transgender doctor months before an incident in a changing room. Nurse Sandy Peggy was suspended after she complained about having to share a changing room with Dr Beth Upton at Victoria Hospital in Kirkcaldy on Christmas Eve in 2023. The tribunal continues. A 67-year-old man has appeared in court charged with the murder of a woman in Irvine more than 30 years ago. 31-year-old Shona Stevens was found seriously injured on a path in Woodland in the Bortree Park area in November 1994. She later died in hospital. Fraser Kilpatrick appeared at Kilmarnock Sheriff Court today. He made no plea and was remanded in custody. Counter-terrorism police are reviewing online footage as a 41-year-old man has appeared in court charged over a disturbance on a flight bound for Glasgow. Police boarded the EasyJet aircraft, which had departed from Luton shortly after 8 a.m. yesterday after it landed at Glasgow Airport. Api Nayak made no plea to charges of assault and endangering an aircraft. Inquiries are ongoing. A teenager has died following a crash involving an e-scooter and an ambulance in North Ayrshire. The collision happened on the A78 near Kilwinning at around 2:30 this morning. The 19-year-old male rider of the scooter was pronounced dead at the scene. Police are appealing for information. Now, scientists in Glasgow believe they're a step closer to stopping the spread of secondary cancer before it takes hold. The research, which focuses on breast cancer, shows there are key metabolic changes in the body before the disease spreads. It means there's a vital window to intervene, a new hope for future treatment. Caitlin Hutchison reports.
This is my lovely mum. This is Rita.
Claire lost her mum to secondary breast cancer.
It's been a long time without her. So.
Now she's living with the disease herself.
She sadly died of secondary breast cancer back in the 90s. So if you can imagine, my fear level just kind of almost doubled because I felt like I was reliving my mum's own diagnosis and history, and I felt like I was kind of going down that same path. I always had this fear that I was going to die very, very quickly after that diagnosis, and I think most people who have a secondary diagnosis do feel that way. You're given a kind of 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 year prognosis, and that's scary, but just had to trust the treatment, just had to hope that my story would not be my mum's.
At this lab in Glasgow, researchers are working on exactly that. An exciting discovery that could help change the story for the thousands of people diagnosed with breast cancer every year.
Scientists here found that a protein called UPP1 in the immune system can help cause the spread of cancers to other parts of the body, where it then becomes incurable. Now, when they blocked that protein in mice, they found that there were fewer secondary tumours that formed, and the immune system could fight back harder. It's still early days, but there's hope that this discovery could help bring new drugs to the market and stop cancer in its tracks.
This is very important because most cancer-related deaths are from secondary cancers. These changes to the immune system actually occur very early in cancer's formation. So it's been very clear from this study that the priming of metastasis occurs much earlier than we thought.
It's an early stage discovery, but it opens up really exciting possibilities for future treatment. And for people like Claire, that future can't come soon enough.
At the end of the day, research is what keeps us alive. And I guess my job, as I see it, is I've got to keep myself well for as long as possible for these treatments to come through.
Caitlin Hutchison, STV News.
Well, Rahman is back from his holidays and here he is.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
3 weeks away from John Mackay, what else could I ask for? Good evening. Rangers are in talks with Spurs to sign attacker Mikey Moore on a season-long loan deal. The 17-year-old, who can play on the wing or as a number 10, made 20 appearances for Tottenham last campaign. One former Ibrox midfielder believes Moore would be a good addition to the Rangers squad.
He's coming from a big club, so again, that experience for him, it's a big loan move for his first, opportunity to come and play, and he's a talented player that I think Tottenham really like, and he's obviously been in through the England setup. So, no, I think again a business model that Rangers are looking to, maybe some young players as well, to give them an opportunity. But he's a talented kid that will give them an opportunity to help the group and help the team going forward.
The Scottish FA's head of referees has hit back at former Rangers player John Brown's claim that referees are corrupt. Willie Colin says he can guarantee they are not. In an interview with STV Sport, Colin has also backed calls for goal line technology to be introduced, while revealing referee decisions could be communicated to fans inside stadiums come the new Premiership campaign. On the final weekend of last season, the decision not to award Rangers a goal against Hibs after the ball had crossed the line incensed the Ibrox club. So much so, former Rangers defender John Brown described the officiating as corrupt. The head of referees had this response.
I don't think there's any corruption in Scottish football. I don't think our officials are corrupt. Absolutely not. I'm guaranteeing everybody that, because I wouldn't be sitting here if that was the case. Our referees are like any referees, they'll make mistakes. What I'm guaranteeing everybody is when mistakes are made, that we're always trying to improve on those mistakes, always, but there's no corruption in Scottish refereeing.
After that game at Easter Road, Willie, Rangers questioned the effectiveness of VAR and also called for the introduction of goal line technology. Can that ever happen? Will that ever happen in Scottish football?
We would be very open to it. We understand the financial constraints because goal line technology is very, very expensive. People might look at it and say, how often would you use it as well? Because, for example, the Hibs Celtic decision, it wouldn't have helped. Certainly the Hibs Rangers decision, it would have helped because it's a goal mouth decision.
Will the money be there for it to be introduced?
That would be a decision out with refereeing. It's not a decision that we would make. We, of course, get financial support about VAR from the clubs, so that would be a decision that the clubs would have to make. What I'm saying is that in terms of refereeing, we would be in favour of goal line technology.
And Colin has told STV Sports Scottish football could be set to follow other countries.
After review, Dominic Solanke was in an offside position in the build-up to the goal,
with the referees communicating decisions to spectators inside the stadium.
We've had discussions with the clubs about that. We would be very keen for it. We think it's the way forward. It's another element of transparency. It's another element which supports some of the difficulties with VAR is the in-stadium experience. We think that would certainly support that. Whereas if a long check was going on, the referee would be able to communicate in the stadium what's happening. I'm saying there's a possibility it could happen again.
Next season?
This coming season, yes. We could see it if we get the support from the clubs financially. We would be able to implement that. We'd need a period of time to train, but I'm not ruling that out.
Well, Colin, thanks very much for speaking to STV.
Thank you.
Former Celtic striker Chris Sutton says the champion squad is not as strong now as it was at the end of last season. Sutton believes Brendan Rodgers still has work to do in the transfer market, with Kieran Tierney, Shin Yamada and Benjamin Nygren among those already recruited this summer.
I think that there's still work to be done for Celtics in the transfer market. I think if you look at the squad going into the season, I think it's a little bit light. I think Brendan Rodgers, everything I've seen him hint at and say that he feels the same, and there's a strong argument as well, not a strong argument, I think it's fair to say that the squad aren't as strong right now as they were at the end of last season.
To cycling, and it has sparked a dream, the words of Scotland's Oscar Onley, after finishing 4th overall in the Tour de France yesterday. The 22-year-old's performance equals the best ever result by a Scot in the Tour, and the rider who set the mark more than 40 years ago believes Onley can step up to the next level. Here's Jamie Borthwick.
3 gruelling weeks on the most famous road race of them all, and Oscar Onley took the acclaim of the Champs-Élysées, 4th place in the general classification on just his 2nd Tour de France.
It's a really big moment in my career. I don't really realise it yet, but I think just from talking to other riders in the bunch, I think, going forward now we have something to build on, and an exciting project for the future. And it's definitely sparked a bit of a dream, I guess. To be honest, I've never even thought about a top 5 in the Tour before, so to get it on my first try in GC is quite something, and excited for the future.
Onley's achievement is the best since Robert Miller finished 4th in 1984. Now known as Philippa York, the legendary Scottish road racer believes the 22-year-old can set his sights on closing the gap on leading stars Jonas Vingegaard and the reigning champion Tadej Pogačar.
Since he's been in the front of the race and you've seen him, where the other riders are in terms of a level and what they can do, he can go away and work on the things that he's not quite there yet. So probably, for him to kind of step up to the next level is probably a 2-year project. I'm so glad that somebody comes along, and I just hope that he betters what I did.
This was a summer where the man from Kelso surprised his team, himself, and the rest of the cycling world After soaking up the applause in Paris, Oscar Onley is ready to climb even higher. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
STV Sport, sponsored by the CR Smith Summer Sale.
And Colin, one final piece of football news. Leanne Crichton is set to be appointed as the new Rangers women's head coach. That's all the sport for me tonight. I'm going to buy John a box of hankies.
I think you'll need to. All right, thanks, Rahman. OK, time for your weather forecast now from Sean.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors STV weather.
A very good evening to you. Now, if you like hot weather and you're looking for the mid to high 20s to come back, they might come back in a few weeks, but you'll just need to hold off just now. The hot weather all across southern parts of Europe just now. Most of Europe, Central Europe, ourselves in that cool north to northwesterly airflow. I say cool, it's still 19, 20 degrees, feeling nice in the sunshine, but it isn't the highs that we had several weeks ago. But there is a trend. I was having a look at the weather models, long-term temperature trend, and there is a wee bit of an uptick towards the second week of August. So things could turn hot once again in a few weeks. Overnight tonight, most of our showers ease away. It becomes dry for a time before rain spreads in from the west. Temperatures down to about 9 or 10 degrees Celsius. Now, unfortunately, tomorrow we've got that little weather front stuck over the top of us, but the rain will slowly be fizzling out as we go through the morning into the afternoon, but staying quite damp through much of the day across lights of Argyll and Bute, across Ayrshire, Inverclyde, Renfrewshire as well. The further east we go towards lights of North Lanarkshire, Falkirk, Stirlingshire, and also around Clackmannanshire. Drier, brighter. Highs tomorrow about 19 or 20 degrees Celsius. On Wednesday there will be some showers around. Looks as if most of the showers across the Highlands, the Hebrides, but for most of us dry with sunshine. Feeling not too bad in the sunshine as well. 19 to 20 degrees Celsius. More of the same to come on Thursday. Pressure building from the west, so a lot of dry and bright weather in western parts. The risk of the odd shower in the east. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV weather.
And finally, we'll leave you with this shot. President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Keir Starmer touching down at Lossiemouth. Tomorrow, it will be John Swinney's turn to have an audience when the First Minister has a meeting with the President. For Trump, the reason for his visit, to open his new golf course in Aberdeenshire. And we'll have all the latest for you tomorrow. For now, though, from all of us here on the news team, enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.